hot and
No,
sweaty and start doing a voice.
no.
All right, we're live. Let's let the people get in. We'll talk some U20s action. We'll talk some tidbits. Should we do some Gable game while we wait for the crowd to get in?
We're already recording.
Audience? Yeah, we're live. We're recording. I said crowd, but I guess it's an audience. You dork.
Crowd. Okay. What are you gonna put in, bud?
I'm gonna try something different today. Let me go to gablegame.com. Let me type in Tyler Kasich. All right. It is a Big Ten 157 pounder. Wow. Look at that.
That's lucky. That's lucky. Big Ten 157, and it's a junior or senior. 157 in the Big Ten. Ja'Cory Teamer. What is
Close. Senior, higher placer. A Big Ten senior 157 pounder. Who do you got?
A Big Ten senior 157. So who
Actually, it's got to be like fourth or fifth because third place is in yellow. So who was like fourth or fifth? I'm drawing a blank. Give me the podium.
Right, but the podium was Tyler Kasich, Antrell Taylor, Joey Blaze.
He's not a senior.
No, I know.
Oh, you're going in order.
I'm telling you, Big Ten. Now, was Teamer 0-2?
If he wasn't,
when it says gold there for the Tyler Kasich, does that mean they medaled? Whoever did it medaled or no?
So that means they're close. So that means it's like fourth or fifth place or something.
And then who the hell was it?
Chumley.
50.
Yep. Because he was fourth, I think. So that's who.
Oh yeah, Chumley. Let's look at it. What was?
Wow, that was our fastest Gable game ever.
Chumbawamba was fourth.
Yep.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's who Kasich beat for third.
All right, that was close. Hey, Bud, did you watch any of the? You didn't watch any of the MMA because.
No, I didn't. I don't watch a lot of.
You go to sleep. You go to sleep early, bud.
Dude, I got two toddlers and I wake up every day at 5 a.m. By 9 o'clock, I'm ready to just pass out. I'm already ready to pass out at 1 o'clock.
Dude, my schedule's so messed up. I got Junior Worlds. I got this RAF stuff, which is driving me absolutely. This RAF stuff's driving me bonkers, bro. Can't even.
Yeah, I said, like, are we going live the second this is over? And you're like, I'm on a call. A call? What is this, Corporate Willie? I'm going to put at the bottom where it says at Matt Scouts 1, I'm going to put in Corporate Willie. We might have to change your handle.
Every Monday at noon. RAF meeting. And I mean, listen, maybe I'm getting a little cranky because we're getting close and there's like pressure, right? There's a lot of you get nervous. You get tight, you get tense. Everybody gets tense.
Doug Jacobs is already in the chat asking if you make the graphics for RAF. LOL.
No, but I mean, that got released like prematurely, right? We know, like, for instance, I don't know. It's just a graphic got released, and it's like, I don't know. They had Lance Palmer as like 24 or something like that. Like, obviously, Lance Palmer is not 24, right? We know Lance Palmer is not 24. It just got released prematurely before.
Hey, typos happen. There's no condemnation for that. Typos happen.
It wasn't typos. It was people took. I don't know. There was incorrect information filled out. Anyway, yeah.
All right, so do you want to start with U20s or?
No, I want to start with. This is what I want to start with.
Oh.
I want to start with. And I know you didn't watch, but guys, Aaron Pico is fine.
You are the number one Aaron Pico stan.
He like for people to not. And it gets worse. It gets worse in MMA. But I'm also seeing it like this weekend. American fans, for the most part, in wrestling, American fans are really good at this happened, but like in wrestling, if some dude gets pinned or some dude loses 9-6, American wrestling fans are really usually pretty good at this happened, but
Yeah,
it
I know
was
what you're
this
saying.
person lost, but it's a good performance anyway. This person won, but I don't know, it was a little iffy. MMA fans and international fans in general are not that way. They are bottom line. Uh, this guy won or this guy lost, and that's all that matters. And there's no details to be discussed. And Aaron Pico goes out there and loses by TKO at the end of the first, and every freaking idiot comes out of the woodwork and said, "See, I told you they booked him too high. See, I told you he has a weak chin. See, I told you he's not the prospect. See, I told you they made him the last match and put him in a premier slot when he didn't deserve it." Guys, the fight was 3 minutes and 26 seconds, and he dominated 3 minutes and 20 of it. I mean, you can say all you want the final result. He dominated it, dude. It's so funny that he loses and LeBron wins, and everybody immediately is like, he's a title contender. He's a title contender. We got to be thinking about a title shot for him against Marab. That's how good this guy is. And the other narrative, the guy that just dominated him for 3 minutes, everybody's saying he's a bum. He rose too fast. He's never going to make it. He got a weak chin. I told you. He dominated him. He dominated the guy that you are saying should have a title shot. Right? So it's just like right now, it's a kind of a good segue because you see some of the guys saying about PJ Duke. Oh, PJ Duke's not going to do good at seniors, not going to do good at seniors, doesn't look senior material to me. Well, number one, he is a junior. Number two, he won close matches, but that's wrestling. That's wrestling. He won the situations that he needed to win.
I will say I am always surprised by the wrestling community's their affection for Pico is so high, and he left wrestling so early. Like, I don't know, like, he was such a top prospect and he left the sport rather early. Normally I feel like you wouldn't see such wrestling fandom for a former wrestler when they do leave so early. You know, like, I guess Bo kind of left early, but he had his whole collegiate career, you know, and then he went in. It's like, I am surprised that when Pico fights, the wrestling community really takes him in, which is fine. I'm just always surprised. Like, this isn't, you know, he doesn't have, like, the college affiliation, so, like, those fans, it's not like he didn't make an Olympic team. He didn't make a senior world team. So I am always surprised by that. But, yeah, I'm very, very limited knowledge with fighting. Eyeball test, I think he'll be fine.
Well, I mean, if there's one knock on him, and it's hard to really judge. I think it's hard to really identify what you should be doing in the moment. To me, if there's one thing that he has on several occasions was the better fighter throughout and got knocked out. And that vein of dominate, and that's Pico's mindset. I mean, I've been, not for 10 years, but I know Pico's DNA. I was around him a lot when he was 15 to 20. He is a very driven machine gun robot destroy everything in my path guy. And he goes out there to dominate. And sometimes you chase that too much. And that is precisely what happened on Saturday night. He was killing that guy. And he goes in to continue dominating. And he was just he was in pursuit a little too much. And how do you teach that out of a guy? How do you teach be safe instead of go seize it? Right? Most of the time you have to, and I say on this show all the time about going and taking it. And we'll get into that about Dee Lockett. That was precisely what I didn't like about Dee Lockett's second match. Most of the time you have to tell guys to open up, to take some risk, to go attack, to go dominate. Don't leave it in the ref's hands. Don't let it be a one exchange thing. Pico, on the other hand, is the rare kind of thing that you gotta pull him back a little bit. Like, don't over pursue. And so, yeah, it's a kind of an odd facet. You want to? So let's get into. Was there anything else on the card that was wrestling wise? I mean, it was a monster card. I usually don't spend a whole lot of time talking about UFC, or I don't even watch it religiously. But I will say the biggest fight, and everybody was buzzing about Khamzat dominating the reigning champ, just dominating him for 25 minutes. And he would take him down sort of at will, basically at will, and ride him out. He would ride him out every period. And I found it interesting and I found it entertaining, but everybody poo-pooed it. And Ben Askren used to get poo-pooed for the same thing in other promotions. But Ben Askren used to get poo-pooed for all he does is take you down and pin you there and hold you there for 15 to 25 minutes. And so Ben Askren used to get ripped for it, but Khamzat didn't. He's the next coming of Christ. I don't know. One, I think it's hypocritical. And two, what exactly do the fans want and what does the organization want? Do they want that ground? I mean, it's really weird because before it was booed and now it was cheered. Well, cheered by most of the people. I mean, there were some that were saying it was boring, but it was the biggest story. He drew almost universal praise from everybody that mattered. And so I'm not talking about UFC in a silo here. I'm talking about UFC in terms of wrestling. And if you're utterly dominant in takedowns and riding, I don't know. You're the hottest thing in UFC. And he won with wrestling.
I will say that the UFC is looking for a star and definitely needs someone to step up. And you can tell the fans are looking for that star figure too.
Yeah, it was interesting because afterwards you'd see some memes like the future of UFC is this, and it would be a bunch of wrestling. And the future of UFC is this, and it was on the ground. And the future of UFC was this, and it was 3, 4, 5 Dagestanis with beards dancing. And it's interesting to see what is embraced now versus what is rejected. And right now, the wrestling is embraced, and Russians, Dagestanis, Chechens are like hot in the streets. It used to be Brazilians, right? And now it's getting a little bit more global, and it's over in the in Russia and Asia. And there's not just Russia, but other Asian countries are doing really well.
Yeah, that's a good point. How about we talk U20s?
Yeah, let's talk U20.
I'm not a UFC guy.
No. I don't. I know that there's a lot of UFC guys
100%.
in the chat that watch it, but I'm not. I don't plan to make UFC a regular topic unless it involves, wrestlers, and particularly wrestlers that we know. But there is a lot of import to this particular card to wrestling.
Yeah, you're not
a lot
wrong.
A lot of wrestling flavor there. Okay, juniors started. We're about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through. 8 of our guys have already competed. 2 more, Marcus Blaze and Max McAnally, will start tomorrow, along with repechages and medal matches tomorrow for our other guys. We're doing quite well. Start the order, Bash.
All right.
Whatever order you want to go, whether it's
Well,
chronological or weight-wise.
I would say, why don't we go chronologically, and we'll start with Sunday's action, and then we'll go into today's action. So yesterday we had Duke, Mirasola, Rademacher, and Lockett go. And honestly, we came out of the gate slinging. We came out of the gate just, PJ Duke is a mongoloid. He's just smashing people. That kid, like, I was just talking to Bashada about it. In the finals match, he's up 5-1. I think he gets taken down and turned, and it's 5-5. And I don't have an ounce of, like, there's no sweat. Like, oh, Duke's got this. It's very rare that in a world championship final, I'm that confident when a guy's up 5-1, then it's tied 5-5, and I'm like, this is, like, Duke's going to easy here. Duke is so damn dominant. Man, he's looked so good this weekend.
He has. Now, he's had some close matches, but listen, you almost never go through. I mean, I don't know what people expect to just dominate your way all the way through. It's not going to always be like that. And I mean, hell, PJ didn't even dominate his way through any phase of the process. PJ had close matches at the Open. PJ had close match with Antrell Taylor, close match with Ridge Lovett. Ridge Lovett, right? I mean, that was a close match.
Yep.
Yeah. The Antrell Taylor match, he hit up big points late. It looked like he was going to lose. Ridge was really close, and a questionable call with a takedown. Yanni, he fell behind twice in 2 matches. You get here and he wins a couple close matches, and people say, "Oh well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for seniors." Just because you and I don't know how he does at Senior Worlds. Maybe he goes 1-1. Maybe he gets bronze. I don't know, but close matches are not, to me, indicative of his preparedness, because there's finding ways to win. I mean, Jordan Burroughs at times would have close, scary matches and moments where you were like, why isn't he creating some distance here? I don't know. He's wrestling this guy. Who the hell is this guy? And Jordan's only winning 4-2. And then he'd go on to win the world title. It's not all text.
No, it's also, it was funny in the semis. He's in a tough match, 2-2, and come to find out, like, action kind of died out pretty quickly at the end there. Come to find out, the Iranian thought he had criteria, so it's 2-2, and then the Iranian thought he was, Duke knows he has criteria, so he's obviously just kind of fighting him off and trying to hold center. And then, sure enough, the Iranian thought he won. He started celebrating. His coach was like, "No, you lost."
Dude, I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me thinks he was lying. Part of me thinks he wanted to build an excuse. Because how do you? Number one, the scoreboard says who's winning. The scoreboard tells you who's winning. The scoreboard tells you who's winning. Number one. Number two, how do you wrestle that match and not know twos and ones? It wasn't like it was 14-13, 14-14. It was 2-2. You know the rules?
I love the people that were tweeting you, tagging you, saying, hey, an RAF. People are starting to listen. People are starting to catch on for the last point wins.
Yeah, I know. However, I like, and dude, you get there was a lot of newbies, or I don't know, newbies, but people that don't get it. And they're like, Willie, that's stupid. You should have made the rules. You should have made the rules first point scored to encourage early action. It doesn't necessarily, first point scored doesn't necessarily encourage action. Nobody's going out there and forcing points in the hopes that it will eventually lead to a criteria point. If it ends in a tie match, nobody's going out to score early in case it might end in a tie match.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's for the first person.
So that doesn't work. Number two, the action increases at the end. It rewards at the end when you want there to be a fun finale. And it also is more intuitive. Last point scores. Criteria. So I don't really get that. But all in all, it doesn't matter if it was RAF rules or these rules. You shouldn't have difficulty computing 2-2.
Yeah, and the Iranian fans were quick to point out what happened last year, where one of the Greco guys, I believe it was, that was winning with like 5 seconds to go or 3 seconds to go, started walking off and doing like the celebration and got forward to his back and lost the match. They're very quick to bring that one back.
Yeah. A couple good points in there. The rules for RAF are gold standard. I mean, honestly, the only rule I changed was last point scored. It's for criteria. I wanted to change a couple others, but I just didn't pull the trigger yet. And we might tweak them. I mean, there's always a chance you can make a rule change. But one thing I would like to enforce is, and it's been a plague in this tournament, is kids just faking stuff. Guys just faking injuries when they're gassed. You cannot have that. That needs to be legislated out. When you're gassed, you cannot just fall down and hold your knee and say, come rescue me with cold spray. That doesn't work. That had happened across the board. And to me, the ref should say, back to the center. No, you're not hurt. Back to the center. Oh, okay, you are hurt? You're going to say you're hurt? It's a point. You're hurt. You need an injury timeout? You get one, maybe you get one, okay? But any more than one or any more than get back to the middle after I tell you, caution and one. Because you can't have, it has been systematically bastardized, that non-rule, throughout this tournament over and over again. And I'm not saying that from simply an American lens. It's just bad for the sport and bad optics, and it slows the tournament down. And Wrestle Madness made a good point too. Imagine if you had first point scored, and that first point was a shot clock point. Now you're double rewarding shot clock, and half the officials put the active guy on the clock first so that they get chance of the second. I mean, that would be just a comedy of errors.
I agree. All right. So PJ Duke, champion of the world. Love to see it. Now he's going to go on and After winning a U20 World title, he'll look to make a senior statement next month at the Senior World Championships. Next up, Dee Lockett.
Dee Lockett. He comes out, he wins in good fashion opening round, and then he has Kanaev, and I thought that Dee would win that match, and I think that Dee showed the kid a little too much respect. In that I didn't think he attacked as enough. I didn't think he went to go seize it. I thought he got caught up in one of those typical let's be careful type matches where you respect your opponent too much, and in typical like international style matches, little exchanges, whether it's a push out, whether it's a shot clock, whether it goes from 1-1 to 2-1 to 3-1, now you're behind by a bunch, then you get a caution and one for a shove, and like the guy pulls your hair, and like Dee to me in that match was managing the match and alleviating, reducing risk more than he was just saying, I'm going to go seize this. I'm going to go win this match. I'm going to impose my will and beat this guy, right? I think that Dee is every bit as good as that guy, maybe more. And then maybe much better. And then and I said that everybody was focusing on the Kanaev match when Wagon had beat him before. And then Wagon does beat him. So Dee gets pulled back in. I thought we saw a really great... And I think if you don't want to take my word for it, that Dee wrestled... Dee didn't wrestle to his full ability, and Dee let that match get away from him against Kanaev. Look at the way he wrestled back.
Yeah, this morning's matches, he looked awesome.
Because to me, it was sort of clear that he left that arena last night and said, I shouldn't wrestle that way. I got to go out and I got to do it. And he was, the first match, completely active from start to finish, attacking, getting to his attacks. Second match, kind of same thing, but even though he didn't score a whole heck of a lot, he was still wrestling the right way. And Wagon, dude, first of all, he's a first year junior, but man, he's big and he's strong, and he a lot of forward pressure on Dee. Give Dee a lot of props for managing that and fighting that, because the German looked way bigger than Dee, way stronger than Dee, and with a game plan to do that, to use forward pressure. And it got Dee a couple times, but Dee also managed that pretty well. So I was impressed with Dee in that. Dee gives up a late score, but then he has to go get it. He has to go get it, and he freaking gets it with no time left. And so I was really pumped for Dee about that, knowing that, or feeling pretty strongly that Dee knew he left something on the table against Kanaev. You come back, you wrestle tough, you beat another world medalist in Wagon, and get to that bronze bout. Now, that bronze bout, he gets laced up the old school head between the legs roll. I don't know. That guy was big and strong too, and it's hard to judge. Anytime that a guy gets it, just like Stanich, really. Just like Stanich. Anytime a guy gives up a series of turns, Like Dee gave up one sequence. Dee gave up one sequence for worth of scores. Whenever that kind of happens and you get gutted a bunch or you get leg laced a bunch, I'm not saying it's a fluke, but I'm saying we really didn't get the opportunity to. Right, we didn't see it. It was one exchange, and it damn near happened to Stanich. And so overall, I thought Dee had a good tournament. Not great. I think he had a good tournament. I like the way he rebounded. But it almost happened to Stanich too. Stanich goes out there and he gets taken down and gutted and gutted and gutted. And I'm like, oh, no. Mm-hmm. And he's down 8-0.
Stanich is such a dog.
He's down 8-0, and he comes back, and I knew that kid was crackable. And things lined up well. Like I was not what's the word? It wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good feeling that he was down 8-0, that's for sure. But there were a couple things working in Stanich's favor. I did have a ray of hope. Most people go down 8-0. You're like, okay, on to the next match.
As soon as it was 8-2, Zach Ray knew. Zach Ray, you could see him going like this in the corner. The second it was 8-2.
Okay, I'll tell you why. That's what I'm saying. A couple things were in Stanich's favor, even though the score was 8-0. One, Stanich has an all-out motor. He's not stopping for 6 minutes. He ain't stopping. Okay? 2, Toprak is crackable. And I don't know, Sunday night maybe Zach Ray. So it stinks because overseas you can't look up matches on Flow Wrestling because they only have the rights in America, right? So our USA coaches go over there and then they're looking up tape when the draws come out. I want to go see matches of my opponent. So Zach Ray texts me and he's like, film the matches of this, and that, screen record this, and that, and send them to me. So I freaking screen recorded them and I watch them and I send them to Zach. And I noticed in a couple matches of Toprak that he would break. And so Zach watched this. I watched this. Stanich probably knew it. I'm sure Zach relayed it to him or even watched it with him. And so there was a ray of hope. Stanich is really good late, and Toprak has a track record of not being good for 4 or 6 minutes. And so, no, Brad, they don't have VPNs. I wanted to tell Zach, go get yourself a VPN and look them up yourself. But I said, I got 20 minutes. I'll record them and I'll send them to him. So that's what happened. But anyway, great comeback. Great comeback by Luke. The kid couldn't stand up. It was terrible the way he was calling timeouts with no penalties whatsoever. I mean, that was an embarrassment. That's an embarrassment to wrestling. But Luke gets his hand raised and moves on. And
yeah, now he's going for gold tomorrow. It's crazy too. There's so many things about Stanich. You kind of jump the gun from one day to another, but that's fine. That's what the show's for, especially when it's live. There's so many things there's so many things about Stanich alone that, like, you have, first of all, an all New Jersey quarterfinals in the World Championships is crazy. Those are two guys who were on the Jersey State podium. Minio just posted, I think it was like 2020 or 2021. They were on the podium together. Like, crazy. You know, now they are wrestling the quarterfinals, and even that match, like Stanich was down, right? 3-1, and then came back to win 3-3. Like,
And Nini wrestled damn tough.
he did.
Nini wrestled damn tough. He didn't just shut down. He had good defense. He had good offense. He got into Stanich's legs a couple times. Stanich has a freaking rubber knee. I don't know. He must not have any ligaments in there whatsoever because it goes backwards. But a really tough, gutsy win against Nini. And, in between Toprak and the Nini match, he beat Ulu, who Ulu was a Cadet World Champ last year. And very impressive. If you took all the 10 Cadet World Champs last year, that Ulu kid, he was right at the top for me of most impressive. He was really good. And he did not wrestle Stanich bad at all. It was 9-3. Now I didn't think that Ulu really showed a real sophistication in attacks. I didn't think he wasn't close to scoring much, but he fought like a dog. So what I'm getting at is don't overlook that match because that kid's really good. And then in the semis, he beat Zandabayev, who he won Euros in juniors and U23s.
Very good.
So very good. I see a lot of people. I see some people talking about how good this Japanese guy is in the finals, and frankly, I haven't watched him too much, but I see a lot of people talking, saying a lot of good things about him. So I'm going to go watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Stanich does tomorrow in the gold. So awesome.
It's interesting. It's interesting some of the jumps these guys make, and some of the. I don't know. We have a limited. We have a little bit of a snapshot of the juniors. Like cadets, there's almost no tape on. There's almost no international results on for the cadets. When you go into Worlds, it's almost exclusively you look at maybe what they did in their Continental, and the only real way to know and watch film of them is if they competed in a Cadet Worlds before. The only way there really is to know how good a guy is if it's his second or third cadet team. Juniors, you get a little bit more. They might have been in cadets for a couple years. They might have wrestled a U23 or a senior tournament. There's more film, and they might have went to Continentals 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And it was really interesting to me, some of the narratives coming into this tournament when the brackets were released, when you're looking at guys like Kanaev, overlooking Wagon, but really hyping Kanaev. Total lack of resume, really, by the Godarli guy that PJ beat in the finals. I mean, he didn't have any credentials, but I did see a couple people online say, this kid's really good. And I didn't know that. I didn't know this kid was really good. By his credentials, you wouldn't think he's really good. He's a jag. He's just another guy on paper. But he was really good. There was also a ton of hype around Rademacher's path. Oh man, Rademacher got a tough path. He got this guy and he got that guy. Well, let's slow down a little bit. Okay, yes, this guy took second at a senior level tournament where Kyle Snyder was third. He won Asians. Okay, but all right, that's a sampling, and it proves that he's pretty good. But I'm not sold that he's unbeatable. I'm not sold that Rademacher can't beat him. Same thing with Petriashvili. Oh, Rademacher got a terrible path. He got Petriashvili. Petriashvili was 8th last year. Yeah, he won a Cadet World title. Yeah, his brother's a GOAT. I don't know that means that Rademacher can't beat him. And so, to me, it was really fun watching the people's narrative, the fans' assessments. There was a couple good nuggets in there where I didn't know that guys were as good as they were right now. And there were a couple overreactions based on name, I guess, and recency. But Rademacher really did a great job. I don't know if we want to talk about him next or go in weight order. Who you want to go to next?
Yeah, we can go to Rademacher. I was just going to say, Larry Steele in the chat said, I really need someone to hold watch parties for this event. Always watching alone, have questions. The best thing you can do for these tournaments is, number one, get a great group chat. Me, Baschamania, Fellers, Willie. Like, even if we're all watching this at 4 a.m. from somewhere, you got to be in a group chat. Like, it's usually watching this. It's me and Willie on FaceTime. It's me and Baschamania calling each other back and forth. That's a must for World Championships. Like, that's an absolute must, Larry.
Yeah, and Larry, I don't know if you're on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Some people are, some people aren't. But if you ever have questions about context or anything, I try for juniors. I didn't do it so much for cadets because there's just not enough body of work. But when I came out with the junior draws article Sunday, I had all that in there. I had who their first opponent was and what their credentials were, and then I had all the potential matchups and the particularly their half of the bracket, who they could see and what those guys have done. So all the context was there. That's behind the paywall, of course. But if you don't subscribe to Mad Scouts, ask on Twitter. What do we got next? Who would he got next? What has he done? But it is, it's harder when we're at NCAAs or like if there's a dual meet in the middle of the year and Levi Haynes has Chase Soldate in a dual meet. You pretty much know everything about Levi Haynes. You pretty much know everything about Chase Soldate. So the context is all in your brain. And if it's not, that's another reason why I say like rankings play an important role. Now, that can get blown way out of proportion, and people can say, oh, number 14 beat number 5. Those rankings suck. Maybe. Or like, well, kids just chase rankings, and he hasn't competed a lot, but this guy competed a lot, and he has a couple losses, and he's ranked behind him, but that's only because he doesn't face a lot of time. There are some issues with rankings, but in terms of context and telling you why something's important, having a number next to your name tells you some stuff. If it's number 2 versus number 5, you're like, this is a major matchup. If it's number 15 over number 4, you're like, wow, that was a considerable upset. And so that's a long way to say context does matter. If you know that a kid is a returning world bronze medalist, now you know that this kid's at a certain level. And it's tougher to follow or ascertain, at the cadet and junior level. By the time you're seniors, you hardcore guys probably mostly know.
I'll give one more piece of housekeeping before we talk about Rademacher. That's also why I've been all through Junior Worlds, I've been kind of associating the guys competing with their universities. And one of the reasons why is because there's a lot of casual collegiate fans. There's a lot of college program fans that don't pay attention to this. High school, too. And it's funny because I was talking to Baschamania this morning about it, how it's like, it's Lehigh's Luke Stanich, Penn State's PJ Duke, and kind of drawing the comparison and connecting them. And it was funny because Baschamania's in Atlantic City at a poker tournament or something. And he's in the elevator this morning with someone who was wearing a Gale's shirt, I believe it was, for Roxbury. Yeah. And Baschamania's like, oh, you're a Roxbury guy. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, one of your guys actually competing at U20s. And the guy's like, oh, who? And Don's like, Luke Stanich. And the guy's like, oh, that kid's like a hometown hero. We love him. But you have no clue he's competing in the World Championships. It's crazy. Like, there's so many fans of high school and college programs that don't pay attention. That's one reason why I've been just drawing that connection through the whole tournament. 'Cause I feel like it adds a layer. And the universities are very proud. Like, Anthony Knox, Cornell, is very engaged in leading into Rademacher. Like, Oregon State is very, very in tune with this stuff, and it's so good for these universities to showcase that. Yeah.
Alex Ninney and Rutgers, Lehigh's tweeting a ton about Stanich. But somebody had brought up another good point, another good resource, and I'm not saying that I own Intermat, right? And so I think I'd love for everybody to go to Intermat. But that's not just me being biased. The guys on Intermat for Junior Worlds in particular, cadets too, a little bit, but Junior Worlds, the message boards, the Junior Worlds thread, nonstop. These guys are engaged. They're telling you who's up. They're telling you who's they're wrestling. They're giving context on how good their opponent is. The Junior World thread, guys have been doing awesome on the Internet message boards.
Love
Just
that.
Sign up. It's free.
Sign up. It's free.
Good conversation.
All right, so Rademacher, I feel like we started talking about him like 6 minutes ago, but man, that dude is a dog. He is so tough. I saw some tweets yesterday. It's like we need him to just wrestle right now because nobody in the world is going to beat him. And even the next day, even when his finals opponent was Magomedov, I think, he had no chance. Like, Rademacher is so tough, so solid.
Yeah.
And I think it was Earl who tweeted out, like, winning a U20 world title before getting on the podium after competing in college. Like, he is so tough. Now a 2-time U20 world medalist, bronze last year, now gold. Like, he has just looked awesome these past couple of days.
He really did. And, it's again, back to his path. I felt like everybody was doubting him. This is a kid that is a returning bronze medalist. You're returning bronze medalist at Junior Worlds. You should probably, by default, be considered a title contender. And I just felt like I don't even think like a lot of United States fans were as optimistic with his chances, with the path and the names that he had. I'm not saying by any stretch that I knew that Rademacher was going to win. I didn't know, but I gave him a better chance than most people did, I think, in the United States and foreign. But it's interesting, too, to me, like, because I did Crystal Ball a month ago, and I just 97's really weird this year. We had an immense amount of talent at 97, like not talent. We had an immense amount of proven veterans at 97 last year, and now almost all of them are gone. Buchanan, the champ, graduated. Cardenas graduated. AJ Ferrari moves up, and on down the line. And I did Crystal Ball, and I'm like, I like Rademacher. And I put him second, but it was one of those Crystal Ball picks that I'm like, I might look really stupid by doing this. I might take a lot of shit. People might say I'm crazy. And I'm not saying that Rademacher is a shoe-in for the finals or he's lock for top 5. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I was a little scared about picking Rademacher second, and after this weekend, I'm like, well, if there was criticism about it, it might die off a little bit now.
Yeah, no, he's definitely earned it. I mean, there was some. I got some tweets asking about that. Like, who was that? Somebody literally just tweeted. A lot of mentions. I can't find that one, but somebody was just saying, like, what do you think now for 197 for him next year? And it's like, yeah, pointing back to your crystal ball, like the expectations are high. You go and win Junior Worlds.
Let me bring it up. Just as we like to reference crystal ball often on this show. It's a fun tool for us to talk about in sort of NCAAs and projecting things in the pecking order, and a little bit. We love rankings, but it's a little bit better than rankings, just because, and especially early in the year, or preseason, because you don't have the constraints of, well, we're not ranking a freshman. So in crystal ball currently, I have Josh Barr, Rademacher, Elam third, Novak fourth, Merrill fifth, Little sixth. Why can't Rademacher be second? Why? I mean,
especially with Rocky, like Rocky coming off injury and
well,
not knowing exactly where he is. You know, like.
All right, let's give Rocky the benefit of the doubt because he's certainly more established than Elam. Let's say Rocky's really should be first or second, and Rademacher third. But what I'm getting at is, it's not that outlandish. Put
Right.
Rademacher third. Okay, I had him second instead of third. Put Rademacher third. It's not that outlandish. You think he can't beat Novak or Mero or Little?
Right.
I mean, he's beaten Cam McDaniel. He's like 6-2 all time against McDaniel, who AA'd.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's in that tier.
I agree with you, Willie. So, yeah, Rademacher,
Okay.
champion of the world. Next up, to wrap up all the guys from Monday, Cole Mirasola, who looked pretty good, other than the semifinal. Semis where he lost yesterday, right? It looked like a cartoon, the size difference between the two guys. That guy was a monster, and just, it seemed shortly after the match started, he basically just let Cole get to his legs at will because he knew Cole was going to struggle taking him down. And then awesome to see Cole bounce back today. You could see he was fired up. He was up on the guy, then he laced him like 37 times in a row, pounded the mat a few times. He was fired up. So great to see Cole bounce back and take bronze.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing where sort of limited tape on guys and perception, and you only have a handful of results. So what we knew coming in is Kasenbek of Kazakhstan was Cadet World Silver. Then he was Cadet World Silver, losing to Mako by Tech.
Yeah.
So he's 2-time silver. He lost to Mako. And so therefore, Mako teched him. This should be light work for Mirasola. And one, there was a size difference. 2, guys can improve. 3, when you get laced up, and that's what Mako did to him. Mako laced him up and it was quick, and sometimes I'm not saying that Mako's win was a fluke. I'm saying maybe it didn't tell the whole story. Maybe Mako still wins if he doesn't tech him like that. But, maybe Kasenbek was a little bit better than we gave him credit for.
Willie is always very quick in our group chat to poo-poo me whenever if you give too much respect to one guy who wins because of one sequence. It's almost like with you, it's an anomaly. Like that's too little data. You're giving too much respect on what's essentially one sequence. A takedown to the lace, match is over. That's one sequence. So
I mean, hey, I'll take it every time. Last year when Mako did it, I'd take it. I mean, that's a match. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that a guy isn't good. That a guy, it doesn't mean that it'll happen next time, right? So, yeah, I thought Cole looked good. Um, 3-0 over the Russian. Lost to the champ. 11-2 in the bronze bout. So he had 2 techs and bringing home a medal.
Yep. All right, then you move to today's action. We already talked about Stanich. He's going for gold tomorrow. That'll be in the 11 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday session. Knox, Anthony Knox, eliminated at 57 kilos. What did you make of Knox today?
I thought he looked good. First match, second match. I don't know. He just really couldn't find his footing. There again, Atainov from Kazakhstan. I'm pretty sure he was cadet world. Let me look it up. I think he was cadet world champ last year, and so I mean he ain't no slouch for sure. Let's see. He was cadet bronze in 21. He was cadet 5th in 22. So no, he wasn't cadet world champ. He was wrestled for a medal twice in cadets and is a little bit older. I mean, that was 3 years ago. He was a cadet, so he's a full scale junior. And I thought I don't think that Anthony wrestled his best, but I thought that he didn't wrestle bad. I was more impressed with Atainov than I was like, oh, Knox didn't look good.
Yeah. No, and it's always tough too when when you don't get pulled back in, you don't like Dee Lockett drops a match and then he gets pulled back in and he has 2 great matches this morning before dropping bronze. And you're able to give Lockett some credit for that. Unfortunately, when you don't get pulled back into repechage, you don't get that opportunity. So it's one of those things where it's kind of a goofy system with repechage, and it's funny how many guys, like on the Baschamania Instagram, I put out, updates for basically every guy, and it's like, Dee Lockett pulled back in repechage in the comments. What's repechage? It's like, if you don't watch international wrestling, you would never know what that even is. We don't even do it in the States, so, you got to really be paying attention there. But it is funny because with Knox, you didn't get to see that. His opponent lost in the semis, and so we don't get to see him after that, and he's eliminated.
Yeah, and Atainov lost to the Russian, who looked really good and really tricky. We were talking about it last show, or maybe on Twitter. That was last show. It was a show where I said, what the hell's going on with Russia? I mean, like, their cadets were not a factor at all. A little bit better, a lot bit better at juniors. Still 100%. Still not the destroyer of worlds that Russia typically is, but a lot better at the junior level.
Yeah, and they're in second place. The team scores, by the way, after day 1 is we have 115, Russia is 107. So they're right behind
really
us. Yeah.
Really? We're first?
Here's the team scores after today. U.S. 115, Russia 107, Kazakhstan 93, Iran 57, India 48, Azerbaijan 48, Japan 37, Georgia 31, Moldova 30, France 26.
Okay, and Russia has a guy in the finals at 57, and we are out.
Yeah, we've got 2 guys eliminated. Everybody else were alive for medals still.
Who else? Oh, Henckel's in the finals.
Henckel's in the final. Connor's going for bronze, and then Blaze and Max go tomorrow.
Yeah. So we're in good shape. Who's third? Iran?
Kazakhstan, 93. Iran only has 57 right now.
Dude, you could see it at well, you could see it for a long time. I've said on podcasts for the last 3 or 4 years that you could see it. And the Continentals and the Cadet World Championships show you even more. That's even more evident. some of the stands are coming up. They have been coming up.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan across all styles. Kazakhstan, I wouldn't say across all styles. They're getting better at all styles, but freestyle, men's freestyle, most importantly. So Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's doing great, man. Let me look up what they did at. Let me look up what Kazakhstan did at. Kazakhstan was bronze at cadets.
Mm-hmm.
Uzbekistan
the stands. I'm gonna have to make a graphic. The stands. Stock up. The stands.
Absolutely. Kazakhstan was bronze. Uzbekistan was fifth at cadets, and yeah, they've been on the come up for sure. I mean, Kyrg and all styles, they haven't been Kazakhstan, but respective to what they were 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even in with women and Greco, they're doing well.
Yeah. All right, so that's Anthony Knox.
We talked Anthony Knox. Blaze goes tomorrow.
We didn't talk Henckel and Connor.
Against Swiss. Stanich we covered. Duke we covered. Lockett we covered. Henckel's look so good, man. And, you know, I remember back, I often notice, like, turning points for guys, or what I consider turning points. You never know unless you talk to them and ask them that specific question. But, you know, I thought, like, a couple years ago, every once in a while, I see a loss that flips a switch in somebody, or I see a loss that I'm like, that loss made that guy better, or like, he lost, but I like the way he wrestled there. I like his body language. I like how he competed, and so I go back to April of 2024, and Henckel wrestles Zach Ryder at the U.S. Open. I don't know, quarterfinal maybe. And Ryder's at Penn State. Henckel has another year, but he already committed to Penn State. And it's a real nip and tuck match. And Ryder's typical Zach Ryder. He can score every once in a while, but he just doesn't get scored upon. And Henckel kept fighting, and the match got chippy, and Ryder was a little bit of not a bully, but like, I'm the big dog on the block, young buck. You just wait your turn kind of thing, right? And Henckel was unfazed. He came back and he fought and he fought and he fought. And so I was impressed with Ryder, but I was also impressed with Henckel. And that fight that I saw in that match, it's not surprising to me to see Henckel winning the matches in the manner in which he's winning now. Because that fight, I mean, you can say a lot about his skills, and his skills are there. He's crafty in a lot of different ways. He's athletic, big, strong, all the attributes. But it's his toughness. It's his toughness and his fight in critical situations that I really like. 8-5 over Kyrgyzstan in the opening round, 10-0 tech of Ukraine. Then he goes down, I think, 3-0 to the Georgian who won this year's Euros. And I think that guy might have won Euros at U23s as well. He definitely won juniors. And that kid comes out and hits a crafty move. It was some kind of dump. And I'm like, oh boy, this kid's crafty. And then he goes down 3-0. And Henckel, never phased, comes back. And outscores him 11-2 for the rest of the way. And then I tweeted, Henckel looked incredible. And to which some of the knowledgeable international guys was like, yeah, he looked really good, but this set of semis is really tough. And he got through a 5-4 win over a mitt from India. So, you know, not just can you win when you're superior? Yes. Can you win when you're slightly better? Yes. Can you win when you're about even? Right? Can you win when you got to grit it out? And Henckel's done all three of those things.
And Larry in the chat is spot on. He said, Will Henckel is the best recruit I've ever seen get looked over because of the studs that are already coming in. Every time, Willie, that we're talking hypothetical lineups, I feel like I'm bringing up Baschamania so much he should just be on today's show, but every time we're bringing up lineups and future lineups and what this team can do and what that team can do, Baschamania's the first one to be like, people are forgetting about how good Henckel is, and when you're talking the Penn State lineups in depth, his name does not get brought up nearly as much as some of the other common conversations that you have.
Well, there's a reason for that, though. And I get it. There is a backdrop of, well, where is it going to start? Mm-hmm. There is a backdrop of where he's going to start. And so for that reason, and Penn State's really crowded room, I guess you could say that's one reason why Henckel maybe gets overlooked, or he's an afterthought in the consciousness of the landscape of Penn State's future rosters. But he has done. Now, I'm not saying it's Mesenbrink-esque. But Mesenbrink was one guy. He was the same guy for 4 years of high school. He was a fifth placer. Fifth at Fargo, Blood Round Super 32. Fourth at Fargo, fifth at Super 32. Right? He was there. And then he went to the Junior Open. And everything changed. Total morph. He morphed into a super freak. He morphed into, get out of my way, I'm beating everybody. Now, I'm not saying that is what Henckel is. But Henckel was not destroyer of worlds up to this point. He was a good, solid prospect. At the end, my final big board, which there's a little bit of a flaw in my final big board in that, and it doesn't come into play very often, because after 4 years of data, you are who you are 99% of the time. But my final big board ends in April, right after NHSCAs, right? There is the Open. There is the Junior Trials. And for a very rare few, they catapult, and it's rare. Mesenbrink did it, and I think Henckel did it. And I'm not going to change the date in which I do my final big board. I'm not going to do that just because of a few outliers. That being said, Henckel I had him 19th on my final big board. If I could do it over, he'd be top 10. All right? But this is a guy who should have lost to Asher Cunningham, did lose to Ryan Burton. And so for that reason, I don't think it's just that Penn State has an embarrassment of riches from 74 to 97, that Henckel was not as highly praised as an incoming recruit. I think it was because he was really good, not transcendent, for 4 years in high school. May of 25, jumped levels, and that's a simple fact.
Yeah. Penn State, the class of 2025 Penn State has is crazy. Figure Blaze, Duke, Henckel, Asher Cunningham. Really, really good class.
Mm-hmm.
All
I mean,
right.
frankly, I mean, when it comes to big boards and you're talking about college potential and not everything coming down to pure results, like Asher looked like the better guy in that match, even though Henckel rallied back and won. Asher was up something like 11. I don't know. He was up by almost like 10 points. Right? So it was really, and Henckel came back and won to his credit. But it's really hard to like say, all right, is Henckel a top 5 guy?
Yeah. All fair points. That's why you're the brain.
Well, regardless, it's not. Like I said, if I would do another big board update, I'd have Henckel much higher. That being said, doesn't matter. I had him 19th. He's going to be really good for Penn State. He's a great asset, and he's wrestling amazing.
Speaking of Penn State, the final guy going for today was Connor Mirasola. Dropped, what did he drop his semifinal today?
Yes, he has Georgia. Georgia in the bronze bout, I believe. Is it Georgia? Coach Kiani of Georgia. That's who he has. He lost to Karugliev 7-5. I have Karugliev is my favorite non-American wrestler.
Bashada just texted me, tell Willie to rewatch the Iron Man match with Hank and Asher.
Yeah, I know. But so what? Like, he was up by like 9 points. 10 points. I know he hit a big 5. Or speaking of big moves, Karugliev hit a big move.
Big move.
Against Mirasola for a 4. I think Connor was up 1-0 or 2-0, and he's charging in, and it was underhooks. It was underhooks with Karugliev that gave Connor some issues. I mean, otherwise, I thought Connor looked really good. He had a really nice like swim single takedown. I mean, gorgeous. You want to say a really gorgeous takedown, a really gorgeous international style takedown? Go watch Connor Mirasola's swim single on Karugliev. And Karugliev, I saw him, I guess it was 3 years ago now, in Italy. He was cadet bronze. Then in Italy, he was cadet world champ, and I thought he was the best guy in the building. I thought he was the best guy in the tournament. Then the last 2 years, I think he's been 5th in bronze or bronze in bronze. Anyway, his brother or cousin, I forget, Darren Karugliev, who was Olympic bronze for Greece. Anyway, he comes from a really great wrestling family. To me, it's Connor got hit with that 4, the underhooks and the pressure, and I think the length of Karugliev gave him a little bit of a problem. But overall, it was a 7-5 match. I thought Connor looked really good.
Doug Jacobs is right. Connor lost in the round of 16. That repechage match with the Georgian is repechage. He's got to win that first and then go for bronze. That's right.
He has to win a match?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has Georgia, but then who does he have? Let's see. He has Georgia, and then he would have
the Azerbaijan kid.
Jeff Farley. Yeah. That kid's good too.
Yep.
It was, and that's another thing about world medals and figuring all this out, and like next year, right? Next year we'll look at brackets for Junior Worlds, and we'll say, okay, this guy was junior 5th, and this guy was junior silver, and this guy was junior bronze. And man, that's tough. And it's tough. It's tough. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their paths are. You're top 5 at Junior Worlds. You're great. However, not all brackets are created equally. Like, you look at, and it's much better now than it was 10 years ago when they had unbalanced brackets. But, like, look at the top half of 74. Murderer's Row.
Mm-hmm.
Murderer's Row. Look at the bottom half of 74. Somebody's world silver, and bro, they might have got beat by 2 or 3 guys in the top half, right? Like Cole, he loses tomorrow to Azerbaijan. He might have been a little better than that in the top half. I'm not saying for sure, but I'm saying keep that in perspective. Okay, so that's everybody except the 2 guys that we have going tomorrow. Marcus Blaze opens up with Switzerland, who was 1-1 last year at this same weight. Then he'll have Bogosian of Armenia, who won Euros. Okay, so I think we're kind of sleeping on that a little bit because Marcus Blaze is Marcus Blaze. If it was a lot of guys at 61, or any weight, if we had to hit a Euro champ in round 2, most of us would be saying, uh-oh, that guy's tough. Because it's Marcus Blaze, we're saying, yeah, whatever, next topic. Yeah. But that's a good match. That's a good match. And also in his side of the bracket is Japan and Russia. And, even for Russia, what makes it a little bit different when we're talking about cadets and we're talking about juniors and we're talking about the difficulty in assessing some of the top talent. Russia and Japan, they have this thing, and there's a couple other countries that do it. But like Russia and Japan, they don't send their ones to continentals. So, again, less data on them. And especially with Russia being at war, it's tough to identify which Russians, where they are, how they're clicking, all that jazz. But Marcus has Switzerland, then Armenia, then probably Japan, then probably Russia. And then we have Max Mickinelli. He also has a stiff test in his opening bout. He has Ukrainian from Armenia, who was Euro bronze and a cadet bronze a couple years ago. Ukrainian was bronze in the Basch in the bracket that was won by Sealy in 22 in Italy. So he's going to have a cadet world bronze. And then he's going to have the Euro champ from Georgia. And then he's going to have Iran, who was returning bronze. So no easy path for Max. But you know what? Max is obviously really, really good. We know how tough that dude is. And this is a kid that won cadet world bronze a couple years ago. He damn near made a junior team. Had a lead over Carter Starachi in the third period. So we know how tough he is. But this is the part where you look at a bracket and you see he has a world bronze medalist. He has a Euro champ. Then he has the Iranian. Tough path for Max. What makes me sleep a little easier?
The butt heavies?
That for sure. But our trials process. Max had to go through a war, and then another war, and then another war just to make the team. You want to talk about going through a gauntlet? You want to talk about tough path? Max Mickinelli already had a tough path to get here. So if anybody's prepared for a tough path, it's us, the United States, and Max McAnally. Let's go. Ski-u-ma.
USA, USA, USA. All right. That's our U20 rundown. Maybe we'll go live tomorrow after we'll have semis and then medal matches from today's guys. Maybe we'll go live again.
Yeah, I'll go live tomorrow or Wednesday, whatever you want to do. For sure. I was complaining about the RAF stuff and how much workload it was and how tense it is right now. But on the good side of that is like we're getting to the end of it, and so the load will probably, I hope, lighten up a little bit. But yeah, I'm clear Wednesday. Let's do it, or tomorrow, whatever you want. Stewie, good point. Stewie says Romani is really good, but I think he's really being overhyped. Based off some things. Don't you think, Stewie, and like other guys that really follow the juniors and really follow the international stuff, don't you feel like there's been a lot of overhyped international guys? I feel like there's been a lot of overhyped, like, oh my God, this guy. I wasn't that scared. I mean, they're good. They're damn good. But I wasn't. I thought this year. I thought this year there was a lot of hype from some Euros and Asians and no, they're fine. We're fine. Willie, have you thought about Kamzat for RAF match? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it would be great. Yes, I've thought about it. It'd be awesome. It would be awesome. We'll see. We're gonna get some more UFC guys. We're gonna have an announcement. Should be an announcement on RAF where our next city is. I don't think that'll be too long. It'll be on the East Coast, and you will be happy.
I will be happy, or are you telling the fans they'll be happy?
Everybody, East Coast people will be happy. It's East Coast, right? And y'all better be there because we'll have a blast. Maybe I'll host like a social. Maybe I'll host like a RAF night before or night after, night of.
No, you got to do night of or night before. Everybody who gets in early.
Right. Either night before or night of, after party for Bash the Brain viewers. Yeah. Open bar.
Fred Minnick. All right, that's a show. Subscribe, comment, like the video. Tell all your friends. Do all the good things.
When we doing it again?
Tomorrow. We'll do even if it's a short one. Let's do it.
Hey, you know what I have? You know what I have tonight, bud? First
Monday Night Raw.
Actually, second fantasy draft. I'm in like 4 this year. I don't like being in 4, but I'm in 4 this year. Second fantasy draft tonight. 2 quarterback league. 2 quarterback. I've never been in a 2 quarterback league.
Take Josh Allen 1.
I know. I have the 13th pick though. It's a 14-person league. 14-person league, 2 quarterbacks.
Oof. You're gonna end up with like Dak Prescott. Sorry, Cowboy fans.
I'll tell you. No, that's a fine second quarterback. I'll tell you who.
Not according to Cowboy fans.
Listen, they stink. They're going to be throwing the ball nonstop. He's going to be a fine fantasy quarterback as long as he doesn't get hurt. You got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and they're going to be trailing every game. He's going to be slinging it all around the field. I'll tell you who I'm targeting late, not as my second quarterback, but as like late season. Jackson Dart. I love Jackson Dart. Best quarterback in this draft, by the way.
Yeah, he was. I was watching. I think it was him. He's with the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was watching him. He's fun. He's very fun to watch.
Yeah, my prognostication was that Jackson Dart would be the best quarterback in this year's draft. Also, Stewie, I want to get in a fantasy league that's a dynasty. Like you draft this year, you keep everybody you want. You want to give up 3 guys?
Chenzo wanted to get me in one of those a couple years ago before he was a college coach. I don't know. I don't think he can.
They can't play anymore. They can't.
I know.
College
That's why I
coaches
don't.
can't play.
I'm assuming he's out. It was a couple years ago, but like before the. It was a while ago. Man, I'm getting old quick. Time flies.
All right, that's the UFC fantasy football podcast special. We love you. Go Bills.
Go Bills. 38-0 yesterday. Nobody's watching. Goodbye.
Nobody's watching.